Okay, hey guys, it's me, Court, Yankee T News on a, what is this, Friday night, May 8th, 2026, year of our Lord. Just want to mention that today was my son's birthday, younger son, he's 30 years old. And I just got to tell Douglas, Jason here, just ended, okay. Okay, I'm sending them a link, letting them know. So I'll explain here. Just give me a minute. And there we go. Okay, so tonight was the big debate. All right, sponsored by Yankee T News, CTRA, and Common Sense News and Entertainment. And it was all right. Thank you, JK. It's good to see you again. We're here again. See you again. Good to see you again. See your comments. So yes, so they had the debate tonight. And I don't know what the results are yet, but I just got a note from Jason referring to it as success. Okay, so I've just put up a link for him to join us as soon as he can. I don't know how quickly he'll be able to do it, but he should be able. Just looking for anything from him. It'll be a while. Yeah, let me tell you, there was a lot of work that went into setting this thing up and making it successful. So when he says success, it means something. So at the very least, we know that Betsy McCoy and Ryan Fazio, two of the Republican candidates, showed up. I had put together a video clip encouraging Aaron Stewart, the third candidate, to show up. Now, there is an old saying, pride goeth before a fall. And if anybody has run a prideful campaign, like it or not, it's been Aaron Stewart. The problem for Aaron is that she's wanted this for a long time. And to be quite blunt, I can't help but feel that she's the kind of person who chases shiny objects. And for her, the governorship was a shiny object. And rather than looking around and making sure that everything in her room was neat and in order, she chased the shiny thing, only to find out that everything in her room was not in neat order. So as you may know, those who follow, Aaron Stewart has some issues involving a tax collector who worked in New Britain when she was mayor. And there's a question about whether or not Aaron Stewart knew anything about the special favors this tax collector was handing out to various voters, changing records, changing taxation amounts, things like that. Meantime, apparently, after 12 years in office, she attempted to get a pension when you're only eligible for it after 20 years. She claims that she didn't know. And I'm sorry, when you make a claim like that, there are serious questions about whether you should be in office at all. So there's a rumor. I don't know if it's true, but the state police in Connecticut are beginning to look into these allegations. So who knows where this goes. But I don't have to tell you, it's not going to be good for her. Not going to be good at all. I mean, just the optics alone are bad enough. Now, look, I want to like Aaron. I want to respect Aaron. I want Aaron to have her fair shot, okay? Unfortunately, she seems to be shooting herself in the foot more ways than you can imagine. As one example, I think it's on her website, and she makes a statement that she's not accepting any comments from people. Well, how are you going to deal with your constituents if we refuse to talk to them? Now, she has put out these videos that are, I think, pretty good in terms of position statements on various issues. But for my money, I'm just not getting that vibe from her that she's really all that conservative, even though she pushes herself as such. This is classic campaign strategy. In other words, you run to the right, but you rule to the left, all right? You act like you're conservative in a campaign, but then once you're in office, now you do all the things that liberals do. I guess there's an argument that when you do that, it's supposed to enhance your chances for re-election. Maybe it's a sad comment on the electorate if that's the case. So I don't know. Wish I had a better answer, but hopefully Jason and others will have more on this. And by the way, this debate, I think, will be particularly important, not only because it is before the convention, but because it is after the debate that took place last night. So our people who were running it would have taken very careful notes of the prior debate and would have adapted our questions in light of the answers given to questions asked in the prior debate. So I think that makes this debate more important for people to consider. And we did focus on delegates to the convention. So, these are the people that, quote, count in terms of you running for office. And it's just a sad comment that given that this is what we're doing, Erin still couldn't bring herself to show up. Now, I could be wrong because I haven't found out yet whether or not she came. And by the way, so just to say it since I'm sitting here, Erin, if by any chance you happen to be seeing this video, and if you saw my clip where I had this cutout of you standing next to me, in a way, I'm in your corner, even though I'm not really a supporter. Like I said, you deserve a fair shot just like anybody else. And that fair shot includes having the people giving you room, let's put it that way, to be able to stand up and explain the tax collector problem, explain the pension problem, explain whatever other issues people are going to start digging up on you. Because the plain fact of the matter is, if you don't deal with these things now, and you happen to win the nomination, Democrats are going to be all over you, and we'll just be in the same sad state that we've been in for years and years now. All right? So in one respect, it's kind of up to you to help the Republican Party by being forthright about all these things. So that's how I see it. I'm sure you've got so-called consultants and experts who think otherwise. And how they're thinking is going to turn out to be a huge mistake, because I'm sorry, the voters are not that stupid. And if anything, I would say this time around, given all the bad things that are happening in the legislature, we're paying even closer attention. So, Erin, dramatic pause, do the right thing. Okay, is that enough for me for Connecticut? Maybe. I might come back and rant on them a little bit more. But, a lot of things have been happening. So, let me just, all right, national level, let's talk about the Republican Party a little bit. Let's talk about gerrymandering. So let me tell you, let's say, not even a month ago, all right, if you were listening to Steve Bannon's War Room and others, they were almost crying in their beer over what was happening with respect to redistricting efforts around the state. It looked like the Democrats had the Republicans on the run. We couldn't seem to get anything right. And that, of course, is no thanks to the likes of people like John Thune and others who couldn't do jack diddly when it came to pushing back against the Democrats. And I would say, in hindsight, we could argue that the high water mark for the Democrats was what happened in Virginia. All right. This outrageous referendum where it was a state that was, you had 11 House of Representatives seats, 6 Democrat, 5 Republican. And this referendum was going to gerrymander the state in such a way that there would be 10 Democrat seats and only 1 Republican seat. Wow. And so understandably, a lot of people are upset. And then, there was supposedly a push, but the RNC did not put in the kind of money that people were expecting to push back against this referendum. It ended up being close, and there was an accusation by President Trump, that there was some chicanery where a slug of mail-in ballots suddenly showed up at the last minute in the election. Sounds a little too familiar. And by the way, as a footnote, and it's a big footnote, I don't know if it's the final ruling, but there was a judge, a federal district judge, who ruled that the the Fulton County Board of Elections has no basis for asking for the box of ballots back. So the Department of Justice and the FBI get to hold on to them and go through them and put together their case for election fraud against the Fulton County Board of Elections. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this, I predict, will turn out to be one of the most unholy messes we have ever seen. It will be the starting of the unraveling of all the fraud that took place in 2020. And it's anybody who's studied it, anybody who's followed it, know that there was a lot of weird things that happened. Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, as well as Georgia. And it's kind of a contest as to which state was the worst. And I would say that maybe Georgia holds that prize, because I want to remind you that there were no less than 30,000 affidavits, sworn affidavits, signed by witnesses at various election polling stations around Georgia in 2020, each and every one of whom said, I saw something that was not right, that was irregular. There's a possibility that election law was being broken. Okay, that's a lot of ballots being submitted. And see, who is it? Raffensperger, who's the Secretary of State in Georgia, just totally ignored them. How do you ignore 30,000 affidavits about election irregularities on your watch as a Secretary of State? Well, he did it. So Raffensperger then is culpable here in some fashion. All right, it's like he's hiding something. Nobody's really called him out so much, but from where I sit, there's enough going on to say this is not right. Okay, just not right. So what's the other part with this? All right. So I just went off course here on Georgia. Let's go back to Virginia. So now we've had subsequent rulings rejecting the results of the referendum and basically saying you have to put the maps back where they are for Virginia. So at the very least, we still have 6 Democrat, 5 Republican districts in Virginia. Okay, that's better than the way it was. Well, meantime, in Alabama, I don't know. In any event, in Alabama, there was the governor just signed something, and now they're racing to redistrict the maps in Alabama to add 1 Republican seat. There was a similar situation in Tennessee that happened. I think the one that's a real kick in the butt, all right, there's so much history behind this one. Mr. Clyburn, yes, state representative, I believe, Clyburn, who is an old, what should we call him? A Democrat lion of the party, not unlike Edward Kennedy, only he's from South Carolina. And as anybody who has followed the history of the Democrat Party recently, Joe Biden in 2020 was about to get knocked out in the primaries. It was Mr. Clyburn who saved his ass and told the Republican Party to vote for Biden. Yeah, how did that work out? But that's what he did. And Republicans fell in line. The Democrats fell in line and, set the stage for him winning the convention back in 2020. Incredible. But now it looks like he's going to lose his seat too. So there you go. At least 1 seat gain in Indiana, Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina. So that's 4 or 5. I don't know. So we'll start with that. So there's at least a net gain, what looks like at least 4 or 5 seats. Now, the other part that hasn't been talked about here is the impact of getting rid of illegal aliens. All right. So case in point, I brought it up before, and I'll bring it up again, with the 800,000 names that have been removed or going to be removed from the Oregon voter rolls. And that's a significant number, by the way. That's about 23% of their total registered voters. That's 800,000 names that the Democrats won't have to use to clear the election results. So we've got a shot in what is perceived as a very liberal state. And what other states are going to see things? We got the battle still going on in California over, is it Sheriff Bianco? Is that his name? Who took 500,000 ballots, claiming that the election was done illegally, that it was rigged. And there's still a legal fight going on over this. But as they say in negotiations, possession is 90% of the battle. And the good sheriff is still in possession of those ballots. So I'd say he's got the upper hand at the moment. So we'll see how that goes. And all this happens, by the way, in the context of the upcoming gubernatorial race and the mayor's race in Los Angeles. I don't know if anybody saw this. Was it Scott Platner? I'm sorry that I didn't pay close attention to his name, but he's the Republican running against Karen Bass and this weird woman who's even more radical than Karen Bass, were such a thing possible. And he's really making a stir. I mean, this guy is laying it down with all kinds of campaign ads that are ridiculing Karen Bass. You have these ads that make her look like the Joker in a city that's turned to hell, much like any Batman movie, if you can remember. So he's playing that to the hilt. Good for him. Good for him. People still think that Karen Bass will win. But hey, if that other babe who's the socialist stays in, they'll split the Democrat vote and he might just have a chance. So we'll have to see if that other woman is, well, crazy enough to stay in. So all of that's important. But let me just go to, I'm going to move a little bit now. Let me just see here because this stuff is bugging me. All right. Let's see here. I'll just mention, some of you may be aware about what happened. It has happened in England. We've had the way their election systems runs is still a little confusing. It's kind of like they have different layers of elections. So you don't get to the higher officials until the lower officials have been elected. But what's happened here for the Reform Party with Nigel Farage, is his name, was key. The Labour Party, of which Keir Starmer is the head, and so the Reform Party, which is a new party, okay, just picked up 1,700 seats among all these municipal layers. So in other words, think of the grassroots. Then we like to think the local leaders who are what we call the grass tops, and then you have the higher level offices. So this would be at the level of the grass tops. And Reform just absolutely blew out Labour. They took votes away from the Tory party. But one point I want to make here that should concern us, I had no idea. Did you know that there's something called the Muslim Independent Party in Britain? I've never heard of the Muslim Independent Party. But while Lafarge and the Reform Party was running away with seats, this Muslim Independent Party picked up 177 seats. They grew, okay? The other party shrank, and so while the Reform Party grew dramatically, the Muslim Independent Party grew significantly. Oh, how did that happen? Well, we're waiting for an explanation. So just for background, folks, you know, with all the concerns about illegal aliens, mostly Muslims, coming into Britain, coming across the channel in boats, which apparently still continues every day, you've seen the British Muslim population grow to approximately 6% of the total population. It's amazing how much noise has been made about this, and for good reason, because what would any stranger in a strange land do? He'd look for his fellow strangers, and they would get together and form their own communities. And that's exactly what the Muslims have done in England as well as in America. And they've done it to such an extent in England that they're able to form their own political party. So let me just point out, let's say 20 years ago in America, about 1% of the population was Muslim. Well, now it's 3%, okay, and growing. And at 3%, we're already feeling strains and threats from the Muslim community because they're so aggressive about taking control and converting America into to follow Sharia law. They can't just go along to get along. No. They're not going to do that. So yes, all right. So I mentioned England and what's happened there. But something similar will come to America. I don't know. It's hard to say. All right, what's this now? Yeah, well, I'm not going to look at that right now, but the headline is "Man Endures Soviet-Style Trial in Michigan for Criticizing a Politician." Well, I want to remind you what happened to that poor guy who did the meme that was mocking Hillary. Remember how he went to jail? Yeah. So there you go. And yeah, Spencer Pratt is the name of the Republican candidate. So the headline is "Karen Bass really is a liar, as receipts prove Spencer Pratt right." And yep, it's this. I'm not going to get into it, but the other headline is "Socialism isn't failing in America; it's working exactly as designed." Yeah, I guess if you look to America, look to New York City. I don't know. I'm not as concerned about socialism taking over America. I think it gets so far and then it fails. And that's just it. I'm going to use an example here. Let me just give you something to think about. I don't know how many of you have listened to Rush Limbaugh, okay? But when he used to do his Thanksgiving thing, he reminded us that, in fact, unwittingly, the Pilgrims in the first 3 years attempted to establish a socialist community. All right, they had the governor, his name is escaping me right now, and the others had agreed to a principle that basically followed from each according to his ability to each according to his need. And what they had was a central warehouse for food. And the idea was that everybody was going to grow food and serve the community and, for example, fill the warehouse so everybody could be taken care of. The whole project was an utter failure. So it was Bradford, I think was his name. And it was in that third year, he said, well, this isn't working. And so everybody was put to having their own plot, growing their own food. This is the same thing, by the way, that happened in the Soviet Union. There was supposed to be collectivization in agriculture, but at some point, Stalin could see it wasn't working, and the peasants were allowed to have their own plots in which they grew their food, their own plots, and that worked out very well. Okay, but that sure didn't lead to private ownership of farmland in any sense, at least not during his time. So it's a lesson in it. We keep making the same mistake because we foolishly believe these things. And because of all of that, I will say to you that socialism will always fail. People want to keep trying it. But at some point, I have to believe enough people will have had it. They'll be fed up. And they say, we're not doing this crap anymore because we have too many examples of how it just doesn't work in America. And if people are being honest about their history, you can go back. There are all kinds of failed commune experiments. New Harmony in Indiana. There was I can't think of the name of the group that was in New York State. It's interesting. They developed skills with silversmithing, and that was nice. But there were a number of these. You had, who was that? Ralph Waldo Emerson, okay? The movement of transcendentalism. And he had started out believing in the beauty of the rural life. I'm trying to still process this because this was in the early 1800s. And he was living in a town that we would think of as a small town, and he was feeling crushed by that. So he wanted to, quote, move out to the country. live his own independent life. And in his case, he was just one of those intellectuals who knew a lot about talking, but not a whole lot about working. And quickly found out that he couldn't hack it. Okay. And that's just another way of understanding socialism. You know, you think it was a good idea, but it doesn't work in practice. My goodness, I mean, all the videos I've watched about these side hustles where people can, raise your own, chickens, raise your own snails, raise your own larvae for bird feed and stuff. It's just, I don't know. There is such a confusion in this country about it. Maybe it has to do with how we're taught in our educational system. It could be that I'm just riffing, that the problem isn't just that in our educational system, it's about academics, and then you have in the context of academics, all this America-hating propaganda that's being shoved down the kids' throats, okay, that then pushes them further in a direction where they're not able to understand what a practical life looks like. So anyway, I don't know, maybe when you get around to learning about investing, maybe you'll have a different attitude towards it, just saying. So, and also I think it's kind of big. It's kind of big, we'll see. But we had this, I consider it a big announcement today, where President Trump has directed the Department of Defense to start releasing all the documents they have on UFOs. So they're going to do it in tranches, right? A little bit at a time, a little bit more, a little bit more. And so I don't know if this is a case of getting people to sort of absorb and accept information they have not necessarily believed in. Okay. I don't know. I'll tell you, my problem is that I've studied the UFO phenomena for a long time. And I have read so many different damn accounts of things. All the stuff you find with MUFON. And by the way, just want to note that I'm aware MUFON may be connected to the CIA. This has been said. I wouldn't be surprised. And so this gets into, all right, since I've stumbled into this, let me come back a little bit, all right? I'm going to give a shout out to a YouTube channel called The Why Files, WHY Files. Definitely check it out. It's kind of cute. The guy has this goldfish in a bowl as a character who, razzes the announcers as he's telling various stories. It's good. I think he's got a lot of subscribers. In any event, as he's had all kinds of people on. I mean, when you do a deep dive on what we'll call the UFO literature or culture, you'll find a number of rather unusual people who give you pause in various ways, if you can take what they're saying at face value. So there is a fundamental question, all right? If you accept that there are aliens, we have at least 2, if not 3, unresolved questions. If we accept the existence of aliens, are they from the future and they've come back here? There's that discussion. Are they from another planet far, far away? All right. And then the different portents for that. And the third one that gets really interesting is that they are ethereal transdimensional beings. So sometimes, under some guises, ethereal transdimensional beings might also be referred to as angels or demons. Well, which are they? So from at least this one video where you had this guy, I think I don't have the right state where he's from. It might be even Canada. In any event, he's an older guy who's had a range of incredible experiences. And so the nature of his experiences and the stories that he's had to tell has attracted the attention of, that's right, what? Yes, the CIA. Yeah. And it was a case of, you had people from the CIA What? Hanging out with this guy? Hanging out? The CIA? Okay. The idea of the CIA is you're supposed to collect intelligence on foreign countries and adversaries, not America. So aren't you taking this foreign adversary thing a little far if you're worrying about aliens? I don't know. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But the part that was interesting, the part that made me stop and go, wait a second, I think I have to rethink this, was where it was clear in this video that the CIA is asking the same question. Who are they? They're not satisfied with their answers. So they're still out collecting information from other people in order to draw a conclusion. So, hey, look, ladies and gentlemen, if it's true that the CIA is confused on this, and so maybe we should accept this other way of thinking about things like the X-Files. You know, they've always played it like they were teasing us, and they never really gave an answer, but you always had the feeling there's something out there. We can tell there's something which we know nothing. They may not like us. They may like us. We don't know. We just don't know. Okay. Well, that's a great cover for the fact that the people who are covering things up don't know either. Well, there's a wild idea, isn't that? Yeah. So let's just accept that maybe none of us know. And it's going to, I don't know. Is it, all right. I don't know. I really need someone to talk to about this. Jason, you haven't been around here, but I'm going to have to bring this up, but I don't know what you have to add to this particular conversation. Yeah, they're going to have to spill the beans, and we, the American people, or people of the world, are going to have to draw our own conclusions based on this information. All right. So if you want my opinion, I'm leaning with the transdimensional being theory. I think there's that, okay? But this presents a very rough thing, and it's people are already saying, look at it's going to be a big issue, is how does it affect your religious beliefs? Whatever they happen to be, whether you're Christian or Jewish or Muslim or Hindu or Zen or Buddhist or Shintoism or Zoroastrianism or some earth religion, it's still going to be a question of, well, now that you know that there are alien beings and they have these powers that we don't understand, so where does that put you with your religious beliefs? Does that make you look foolish because that is all true now that we have these disclosures, but you've been believing these things which are really just based upon faith? Quote, nothing more than faith. Yeah, I think there's a concern that this is going to become an issue, possibly within the next year. And by the way, I just want to mention that there was another, what was it? I came across this other reference suggesting that in 2027, the truth about time travel will be revealed. The world will know that time travel is real. So the funny thing for me is I take that little piece of information, tuck it away. And so now I'm reading all these articles, and already you can see articles that are like dropping hints, little breadcrumbs, little cognitive informational breadcrumbs just moving in that direction. And the latest, the wildest, is it's possible for messages from the from the future to go to the past, but not the other way around. So this is like a new quantum physics theory of some kind. And we await further rationalization on this. Okay, but I think just to say it, just to go down that road for a minute, if you've studied quantum physics at all, at least the popular version of it, I think, at least speaking for myself, there is an intuitive sense that, what they're describing to us here could be sort of the fundamental principles associated with time travel fundamental principles with what we'll call dimensional travel. Because, if you start looking at the issue of dimensions, now you start to get into the whole thing with the triangle, the Newfoundland Triangle, and then the Alaska Triangle. All these areas where strange things seem to happen. And we have these gravity anomalies around the planet that nobody can make sense of. So to me, you can accept those things and just say to yourself, there's a lot we just don't know. But me, I'm guilty of sitting back and trying to hypothesize a little bit and say, let's see, how could this work here? How could you have an environment where gravity seems to be reversed, but it's a weak effect, okay? Gravity has been weakened to such a degree that the way you experience it, you're sort of levitating, but not a lot. Just levitating enough to go, wait a second, something's not right here. So it's a fair question. How could something like that be? Maybe this is a separate show when we want to explore these things. I would like to approach it more systematically because I've found these videos that go through these strange anomalies, like Groundhog Day is based upon something that really happened in a town in Arizona. How Twilight Zone can that be? And so there are a number of these things that are claimed to be true. And of course, the problem is, how many incidents do you need by which time you're going to go, maybe we need to think about this a little bit more. Maybe we need a little bit more evidence. Maybe in our minds, we need to start making room for these things that seem to, quote, not fit with our understanding of reality. And of course, the problem with a number of these things is not that they don't fit, that they supersede, okay? And so one of the things is you're going to find people saying, you have the other theory, the idea that the universe is a simulation. That idea is becoming more popular as well. And you have scientists saying, yeah, we've analyzed it, and yep, sure enough, we're living in a simulation. Really? What are you going to do with that information, buddy? If we're living in a simulation, we don't seem to have any control over it, so we're just simulants, all of us. I don't know. It doesn't, the pieces are not coming together for me with something like that. But I will come back to that later. All right. Come back to that later. All right. So what I set up as one of the taglines for the talk tonight was, that's right, stop lying about Iran. Okay. So in the news, we had a report of Iranian commandos taking over an oil tanker, not in the Strait of Hormuz, not in the Persian Gulf, in the Gulf of Oman. Ladies and gentlemen, do you have any idea where the Gulf of Oman is? Here, maybe I should bring it up. See if I can get the picture here. Oh, nope, not you. Let's have a look at this, okay, just to make the point. All right, here we go. Maybe this one here. Let's see if that works. Okay, yeah, we'll take. It's not as good as I'd like it to be. Okay, but look. Okay, there's, if you can see my cursor, there's the Persian Gulf. There's the Strait of Hormuz. There's the, what do I want to say? It's the beginning of the Indian Ocean. So Persian Gulf. All right, if I go down here off the map, over here now where the cursor is, that's the Gulf of Oman, over there, okay? So how is it, because the base of operations is still Bandar Abbas, that's over here in the strait. So somehow, if this story is true, Iranian commandos somehow made their way all this way, got past the Americans, got into the Gulf of Oman, far, far away, and seized a tanker. What? Dude, okay, there's a problem here, ladies and gentlemen, all right? Now, we could say that the Iranian military, the IRGC, is greatly reduced in terms of its capabilities. But damn it, if you got a bunch of Iranian military people who could plan and execute a raid with one of their bug boats all the way down into the Gulf of Oman, okay, I have a rhetorical question for you. What else can they do? What else can they do? What other nasty surprises can they pull? So it goes back to my basic statement. President Trump, stop lying about Iran. Their capabilities are greater. They are more considerable. They're showing they're not only resilient, but they're creative like we're supposed to be. Okay, so let's put it this way. You have a worthy adversary on your hands, and we better damn well start treating them like that, okay? So stop saying that they're ruined, they can't do this, and don't have that, and blah, blah, blah. BS. BS, okay? So the posture, as far as I'm concerned, that you need to adopt with respect to what's going on in this area needs to be, shall we say, more reflective of what Iran can really do. Not what they can't do, what they can do. All right, because you keep denying what they can do and they keep doing it to us in ways that embarrass us. That's just not smart. I'm sorry. It's just in my opinion. But hey, I'm not on the inside circle. I'm not an advisor. I'm not an expert. I'm just some doofus in Connecticut sitting here observing these affairs, and I can't help but put two things together and say, gee, I come to a different conclusion than everybody else. All right, enough of that. Okay, but I'll keep the map up. Maybe I need to talk about them a little bit more. I don't know. Okay, look. All right, let's review. All right, over here is Tajikistan. All right, you have a shipping route right there, if you're following this, okay, that goes to a city there called Madasa, I think, or Madas, yeah. Notice, and then so kind of like a main corridor is along this area here, and Tehran is roughly like what, over here, I think. I may have it wrong, but roughly there. Okay, they have a tunnel that runs through these mountains to the Caspian Sea. So they're taking shipments from the Russians to the Caspian Sea. They're getting shipments here through this corridor into this Madasa and along the road here. Okay. And yeah, great. So you think you got them shut off here, but they got stuff going on over there. So you can't tell me that things aren't being set up that's going to make what we do more difficult. There he is. There he is. Okay.
We made it.
Hallelujah. Okay. Why is
Hello, everybody.
Why is it so dark there?
Oh, because I'm in my car and it's nighttime.
Oh, okay. So you're in your car. Let me get this off the screen. Well, then
we just left the Pine Loft.
Okay. So all right. So you get to give the world a up-to-date account of what happened.
Well, let me start by saying it was a resounding success.
Good.
Absolutely incredibly well received. The candidates had a lot of fun. They clearly had more fun than they did last night, even with the TIC. A lot of incredibly good questions were asked. We got really insightful answers. The quality of the video, from what I've seen so far, what I've been told, is making TIC 1080 look like amateurs.
Really? Okay, that's 2 thumbs up for Eric.
2 thumbs up for Eric.
Oh my God.
Eric Efron has got the job done. Gino was a lot of Rob Sampson. Gino, a lot of very high-ranking Republican dignitaries were there. John Bolton, Sampson, and all of them. Gino was there. They all had rave reviews, and the trivia questions were a big hit as well.
Oh, good. All right. Yes. All right.
It went very, very, very well. It was lighthearted. I got up in front of the stage. They said, "Look, Ryan and Betsy, from now the rest of the night, the political pressure is off."
Okay. All right.
And we asked some fun trivia questions that they answered fairly well, and it was just great time. It was just a great time, and honestly,
That's good to hear.
I don't have a single thing that I can say negatively, other than I wish there had been a Maha question asked. There was no Maha questions asked, but that's the only thing I can think of. That can be addressed later.
Okay,
And,
well,
it was great.
I have to ask my other question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
How did Erin do?
Erin didn't have it. She was there on the stage. She looked a little bit thin with cardboard. She made out of cardboard.
Yes,
she didn't have much to say.
Yeah, there you go.
I think we handled that just right. I think we criticized her resoundingly, but we didn't do it in a way that is to offend everybody either. So I think it went well in that regard.
Yeah. All right. I think we're being fair as far as that's concerned. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to show for debates, and she didn't. So it is what it is. We want to do more. We want to do one with DeBarros and Shea. I think maybe we can't do them all before the primary, but do some debates between now and August.
Oh my goodness!
Would that be a good one?
Sure, we couldn't do it sooner than August. Well, here's the big question, right? We still don't know. I think we know that. Barrels quite a bit. You got the whole there, and August, right?
Right.
And so somewhere in there has to be at least a debate, if not two debates, right?
There should be between now and August, absolutely.
Yes. All right. So it's not, in my mind at least, it wouldn't just be in August. We'd do more than that. So, I mean, what I'd like to believe now is it's kind of like you work the bugs out. I mean, you had to do this the second time, it would go a lot easier.
Yeah, I would say that considering what we pulled off, having really no experience in organizing a debate, imagine what we can do now that we have some experience.
Exactly. This will be awesome.
It will.
Yeah.
So anyway, I feel great, and I feel like we weren't looking for all the credit or anything like that, but it was given to us anyway. A lot of people really came up and complimented us on what we did, and people like that are in the legislature and whatnot. So
yeah,
I think this is history in the making, the beginning of history changing stuff, the beginning of flipping Connecticut red.
The Democrat, this is within the Republican Party. What we do with the Democrats is a whole other thing.
Of course.
To which I echo your sentiment when you said we should do events with the walkaway folks in Connecticut. Absolutely. And like I was suggesting, maybe that's the next thing we need to look at.
I think events are a big key, and events will draw in. They'll draw in non-voters into voting. They'll draw in moderate Democrats, and they'll draw in rank and file Republicans away from rhinos. So it's effective.
So just to mention it, so we went to Mohegan Sun for my son's for Douglas's birthday.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we were eating at this restaurant that was kind of out where the walkway was, and so I guess there's this. I don't know what the name of it, like the Sky Room or something. It's where they hold these concerts.
Okay.
There was a line that you cannot see the end of, of people getting ready to go in and see a tribute band for the Electric Light Orchestra. Not Electric Light Orchestra, a tribute band for Electric Light Orchestra. Unbelievable. Okay? So one of the thoughts is with these events, maybe we should look at some of these tribute bands.
I threw out there to Gino and a couple other people what you said about like a homeschooling dinner.
Yep.
Or a music festival, and their eyes lit up. They were like, "Oh wow!" Like they sounded very, very enthusiastic about that.
All right, that works for me. Hot damn! You heard it here first. Whoever's listening, you heard it here first. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, this is the key to flipping Connecticut. I think rallying the people, let them have some fun, and then get to the issues, and then teach them how to walk away. Right?
Yes. All right. Yes. Yes. I'm all in on this. So if you're coming by the office tomorrow, this is what we're going to work on.
Okay. Now it's not going to be as early as usual because I need to sleep. I'll probably be there about 10 or so. Does that work?
Oh, that's fine.
10:30 at the latest.
I expect to be there about 9. So,
okay.
Yeah. All right.
I'll be there.
All right. So Let me see. Were there any other highlights to this?
They ended up. It's funny because we went to the podiums. We didn't use the podia.
What?
We took them down. We took them out.
So they just stood there.
They just stood there. Yeah, the stage was too small. Betsy came and we were situating the stage. And she wanted to use a visual aid, and she's like, "Can we just?" She suggested it. She's like, "These podiums, like they separate us from the people, and they're kind of isolated back here." And then
Yeah.
the stage was very small, so I was like, "You know what? Let's do it. Let's ace them." So we did. We aced them, and it actually worked out great.
Yeah.
We didn't need them. We didn't need them. And that way, if Aaron had showed up for some reason, we wouldn't have been awkward with her not having a podium because we did not have an extra podium. So.
Okay, so if I went to my YouTube channel, will I find the debate there?
I think so. You should find it on Polish Agnes's YouTube channel. And I know Eric's putting together, I'm not sure what Eric's doing with camera switches or not, but he's going to get a tape into.
Oh my God.
Tomorrow. Are you watching it?
I know Eric well enough to tell you. Okay. God bless him. God bless him. Okay.
Yeah.
But the biggest mistake is to let him edit a video because
you don't need to edit it. You just got to save it.
No. He's gonna quote do things to it, and it's just gonna be he's not gonna be able to help himself. Okay, he's just gonna overdo it. Is what I'm trying to say.
I don't want him to do anything to it. I just want him to publish it the way it is.
Good job, but he's gonna overdo it.
Well, should I call him tomorrow morning and tell him not to overdo it?
Yeah.
Okay, I will.
Okay. I think.
Yeah, this comes under the KISS philosophy. Keep it simple and stupid. Just preserve a good quality copy of the tape, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, if he wants to make something himself,
separately, fine, but don't mess with the original tape. Just do something. You want to do something separately? Yeah, fine, different. Save it. Save as, baby, not save.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have to say that. All right, like it or not, okay. In a way, I'm kind of going on a limb here, but in a way, this debate tonight made the death of Aaron's campaign.
I think it did. I think you know what, Rob Sampson and Gino both agree with me. When I said that same thing when we were talking afterward, I said I think this has damaged her campaign beyond repair.
Right.
And they both agreed with me.
Yeah. I mean, if she can't stand up. So shall we acknowledge that there's at least one person who is less than pleased?
Yeah, at least one.
Not as my big shitty grin. That's right, Mr. Proto. He certainly is not happy tonight.
That's the second summer in a row I stuck it to him.
Oh my God. No, this is what's getting me. Okay, next. All right. I don't know if we can do it between now and the convention. It's a hell of a thing for me to say, but let's face it. Aaron had too much baggage. Okay. Yeah. All right. How about if Mr. Shea has too much baggage?
Yeah, he has too much baggage.
Well, we don't know that, but I'm just saying, what if? Okay. And that needs to be brought to the attention of delegates, even though we don't have much time.
No, we don't. So that's our next project.
But we have the list. Yes, we have the list.
We need to get in touch with DeBarros and Shea's campaign, see if they want to debate.
Right. Well, it should be done quickly. The hotter issue, though, here is all right. I mean, this is weird because look, see the contrast. Let me just make this point. The contrast between John DeBarros and Aaron Stewart is striking. Okay, she's trying to hide all her bad things, and John DeBarros hangs all his bad things out to everybody.
Yeah, and he's owning them all.
He is a fearless man. He is a fearless man. Okay, so that's what you need. If you want a leader, you need a fearless man. Message to the 5th District.
Absolutely. Okay. DeBarros is a winner in the 5th District as long as there's no corruption.
Yeah, well, all of that said, anyway.
He's got support from blacks, whites, city, country, women, men.
Yes. Right. So but so how does this has got to translate in some fashion. All right. So So we have a list then of the delegates there's been some game playing. We've got to get to the bottom of this, right? Because we heard there were some questions about the accuracy of the delegate list that John DeBarros got, right? You heard that?
Yes,
All right. So that may be something that we need to get to the bottom of quickly.
I would agree.
Okay.
I would agree because that's the kind of dirty tricks that they play.
Yes. And so we have to make it
They're
public.
he's probably talking to the wrong people to get John to talking to the wrong people.
Well, yeah. Let's see. So I don't know how we get to that. Well, there is a way to get to the bottom of this. All right. Again, we don't have enough people to really pull this off. All right. Maybe we do. I mean, maybe if the people who make up the group we have right now are willing to pull together on this.
Yeah, we have a pretty good group right now. Josh Coyne and Selena.
Okay. So in my mind, something again to discuss tomorrow is we have there's like, I think it's like 29 RTC districts. Okay.
Yep.
So, we're going to have to go through those districts one by one. We've got the delegates. We don't know the right one, though.
Yeah, I can't hear you right now for some reason. Hold on.
Okay.
I lost you about 5 seconds ago. I can't hear anything.
All right. So hang
on.
on.
Now you're back. Now I can hear you again. Okay.
All right. So the point I'm simply making is that we know what are the RTC districts.
Yeah.
We have a list. So very least are changing and work through the 23 RTCs to find out who the right delegates are.
Right.
We have enough people we can do that if we get to work on it.
I think there are enough people we can do that. I think our clique has grown.
Yes.
In this last week.
So we're 6. We got 6, right?
We have 6. Yeah.
All right. So now, there's. I don't know. We'll have to choose. I'm kind of leaning in Jim Meyer here. Have to see what he can do. I got his number. I'll give him a call tomorrow.
We have more people. I had more people watching on my stream by far than I'd ever had before.
Okay, well,
I'm not sure the number, but it's a lot.
I got my 3 admirers right here. Thank you, guys. Thank you. My 3 admirers. Okay. So, and so just to mention it again, on the at least X, I got to do something about X. I'm not picking up a lot. I haven't been able to figure out what I'm doing on Facebook. But on YouTube, again, it's all over the lot. Some of them I get 10 views, some of them I get 30 views, one has 300 views. So
yeah, it's all over the map.
Yes, it is. And so I think blame the algorithm, as far as I can tell. If we're getting this kind of spotty reaction. So, all right, but I don't know. I have to come up with a different plan to get the word out and get people to watch what's saying.
Okay, well, listen, with that, I'm going to check out. So I'm almost home here soon. And I'm going to be on the highway. My engine's going to get really loud, and I won't be able to hear you. So.
All right. So I'm going to say, you say goodnight, and I'll say goodnight to our friends. And we'll be back on this bigger and badder than ever starting tomorrow night.
You bet. For Common Sense News and Entertainment and Yankee T News, good night, everybody.
That's right. Same here. Yankee T News and Common Sense News and Entertainment. See you guys later. Later.